From a road safety perspective, it will be ideal for lorries not to carry any passengers in their rear decks. But there are very significant practical and operational issues on top of just cost considerations. As far back as 2008, a work group co-chaired by the Ministry of Manpower and the Land Transport Authority conducted a thorough review of the safety of workers being transported on lorries. The work group included members from industry associations, the National Safety Council of Singapore, traffic police, and other government agencies. Over more than a year, the work group studied the issue extensively and consulted widely, including industry groups, safety experts, and transport operators. At that time, companies, especially small and medium enterprises in the construction industry, had strongly urged the government to allow them to continue ferrying their workers in lorries. Compared to 10 years ago, regulatory changes at this time will cause even more acute pain to the industry, given that the industry is being severely affected by COVID-19. Worker supply has been disrupted, leading to severe manpower shortages. Projects are already delayed, and productivity has been affected because of safe management measures. Further regulations will likely have impact on the completion of various building projects, from BTOs to MRTs to nursing homes and hospitals, spell the demise of some companies and the loss of workers' livelihoods. We cannot simply ignore these considerations. Notwithstanding the improvement made over the years, one fatality, and in fact one injury, is still one too many. We appeal to all road users to drive safely.
SMS mentioned earlier as well that ferrying workers at the back of lorries is actually something that's done in other countries. But I note that this is not the case in all other countries. So I would like to know whether there's a study actually can also be done into those countries that outlaw this sort of practices, and to find out what sort of ways they actually use to actually overcome some of the costs and practical and operational issues that the SMS actually mentioned earlier. We need to actually understand how much cost will be increased by before we can actually have a meaningful conversation about whether or not there will need to be further safety measures put in place.
Indeed, as I noted, when we did the last study, there was strong feedback from the industry regarding the significant business costs. But actually, in addition to that, I've also mentioned that this really is not just about cost. It goes beyond cost, because at the ground, really, there are significant, real, practical and operational challenges on top of just cost consideration. But having said that, if we were to estimate the additional cost as a result of prohibiting the transport of workers in lorries and goods vehicles, then we'll need to have an understanding of the options that the industry will pivot to, whether it's buses, minivans, goods passenger vehicles, or even other options. And we will need to really undertake a detailed study and consultation with the industry. So it is something that we can consider as part of the review. With regards to practices, international practices, as I've also said in my reply, international practices are varied. And indeed, some of these countries that do allow, we think that, it's also, our challenges are not unique, and they probably have similar challenges. But I agree that even as we undertake a review, we'll consult the stakeholders in industries, and we'll also look at various practices as well as technologies, like the member earlier, Mr. Alex Yam said.